morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to take a look at some new secret rares that have been revealed for Crimson Haze. These are awesome, and we need to have a chat. So we're gonna have a chat, starting off with Cramorant, and it is an Okacheke Cramorant. Okay, fine, there's a secret rare, I'm going to show you that in a minute, right? But right now, what I want to start with is by showing you the Okacheke Cramorant, because I love Okacheke. I mean, look, I've made absolutely no secret of the fact. Over the past few years, few years. It's been about 3 years, almost 3 years since Okacheke came around in the Pokemon TCG. I adore the work of Okacheke, and this Cramorant is a good one, ladies and gentlemen. This Cramorant is a very, very, very good one. So that's kind of wonderful. And then look at the alternate art, the secret rare by Fujimoto Gold. It is stunning. Now, some people have pointed out that blur is being used more and more on Pokemon card art nowadays, and maybe this is going to end up being overused. And the answer is, I don't know, maybe it will. I'm not smart enough about that. What I am saying is, in terms of a 1-2 punch for artwork, I'm not sure we've seen a better 1-2 punch in terms of the combined awesomeness of the regular art and the illustration rare. Now, maybe there are, and if there are, as always, let me know in the comment section. But just on the face of it, I look at the two of these and I'm just like, this seems like the winner. And it's Cramorant, for goodness sake. Although, to be fair, Cramorant has received a lot of love in the Pokemon TCG. Way more than you would generally expect it to. I mean, we've seen the Cramorant from, obviously, Lost Origin with Lost Provisions and Spit Innocently, which is phenomenal. You'll often see that turn 1 going second, hitting for 110, taking KOs. But let's not forget the Cramorant V Max is actually genuinely legit. Max Jet lets you flip a coin for each energy attached to it and do 80 for each heads. And my second favourite artist, Haganasuke, did the Cramorant in Shining Fates. And actually, while we're talking about old Cramorant, I need to mention Cramorant V, which did see a lot of play. So maybe should have mentioned that one a second ago. But I'd also have Spit Shot that you, for free colourless energy, discarded them all and did 160 to the bench. And that was good and saw a whole bunch of play. Seems kind of relevant. So I'm just putting it out there that actually Cramorant's had a lot of love. But is this new card any good? And the answer is, honestly, yeah, it could be. Translation by myself, but check to the lovely Anton below to make sure I'm not being dumb. And you got single energy 20. I mean, turn 1, going second. I mean, look, there is a possibility here, and I'm clutching at straws, but I'm just gonna lay this out for you. Some people do play the 60 HP Charmander. So there is a situation where you whack a Vitality Band on here and get a KO on the 60 HP Charmander. I don't think it's going to happen very often, and I don't think it's something you should be relying on. And I'm not even honestly saying you should be playing the Vitality Band anyway. I'm just saying that maybe there's a chance you can do something like that. Most of the time, however, we are looking at the second attack, and the second attack could be very good. We got free colourless energy, discard all energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Could be active, that's not really the goal. The goal here is you are hitting your opponent's bench. You are going after something on their bench. You are trying to take out something that they've got, and that could be honestly pretty gosh darn fun. Now, one of the issues here, of course, is going to be the energy, but the energy really isn't much of an issue because you're going to play this in Baxcalibur decks. Like 99% of the time, and I'm not saying you have to, we'll get there in a minute, but most of the time you're going to be playing this in a Baxcalibur deck. So you're going to have the Baxcalibur that can accelerate as much energy as you like from your hand, and you're going to be playing stuff like Superior Energy Retrieval that can get the energy back pretty easily, and you smash all that together, and you've got yourself a single prize attacker that can fit into these Chen-Pao Baxcalibur decks really easily, that can then go and hit the bench, and that's kind of fantastic. And I just showed you the other day, from this same set, that we are getting a Walking Wake. And I told you that Walking Wake actually works really nicely as a single prize attacker in Chen Pao decks. Basically, you can place up to 9 damage counters on this Pokemon and deal 20 damage for each damage counter you placed. So, place 9 damage counters, do 180, but you could place fewer damage counters and do less damage, but you would still be doing a bunch of damage, and that would be fun. So, you know what? Yeah, this seems pretty good, honestly. Chen Pao decks are suddenly getting a whole bunch of new tricks that they can be playing around with, and this is actually extremely cool. They've got a good single prize attacker for sitting in the active and doing massive damage, which we like, and they've got a good single prize basic that can go after your opponent's bench. And again, you can go after the active, that's fine. And you absolutely can be taking KOs on EXs and Vs that are weak, especially if they're basic. That all works. But really here we're going after the bench. Like, that's the goal. We want to be attacking the bench. We want to be taking out weaker bench Pokemon. We want to be finishing off Pokemon we've previously attacked. And no, it's not perfect. Manaphy is surviving the rotation. Manaphy is a great bench sitter. And it's not just that Manaphy's in the format. It's not just that Manaphy can be played. It's that we've got stuff like Radiant Greninja that means that Manaphy will be played. And also, if you're playing these water decks, you're going to be playing Radiant Greninja. It's going to happen. Which means that, like, the second your opponent sees what you're playing, if they're playing Manaphy, this is going to hit the bench. Now, there is also, while we're talking Radiant Greninja, there is also a very good point to be made. Well, hang on a second. Radiant Greninja can hit 90 to 2 bench Pokemon. Why are you not just using Radiant Greninja? And the answer is very simple. Radiant Greninja hits 90, this hits 120. Obviously, if 90 is enough, you're going to use Radiant Greninja 100% of the time. But sometimes you need to get up to that 110, 120 mark. That is where Cramorant comes in. But also, it's not just water decks. You can use this with any basic energy and then a double turbo energy, as an example. And okay, fine, that does knock it down from 120 to 100, which is kind of annoying, but it's still a decent attack. You know, remember, Radiant Greninja is 2 water. This is all colourless. Or if anyone actually ever plays a Fortress deck, this could work. You could go with this. That could be fun. Not sure they ever will, mind you, but if anybody ever does. And just any energy acceleration here will do. If you're accelerating energy, this can work very nicely. It's a basic Pokemon. It's all colourless energy. Hitting the bench is good. I'm giving this a tentative 4 Wassies. I don't think anyone's ever actually building a deck around this, but it fits very neatly into some existing decks. It's colourless energy, so it can fit into any deck with energy acceleration. Obviously, when I say any deck, you know, if you're talking an ancient deck with stuff like Professor Sarda's Vitality, obviously that's not going to work because it's not an ancient Pokemon. Obviously, I'm referring to any energy acceleration which can go on to, you know, just a general Pokemon. I like this. I think this could be good. And the 2 artworks are stunning. Speaking of stunning, there's an Applin. And my boy, he turns 2 in a couple of weeks. He saw Applin for the first time the other day. He was very impressed. He thinks Applin is cool. He's no Munchlax. Munchlax is number 1. But Applin is pretty gosh darn cool as well. And what we've got here is an illustration rare, an artwork rare of the card I showed you the other day. So we don't need to spend a huge amount of time digging into the playability of this card, because I showed you this card the other day, but it is actually a very cool, very lovely card. Also, very much worth pointing out, and I told you this t'other day as well, this is the first time that we've actually had an Applin card which is Dragon type. So now, if you want to be playing in the Gym Leader Challenge format, all of a sudden you've unlocked the evolutions of Applin. Maybe you want to play the Flapple with Acid Mucus. 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability, for an example. Or maybe you want to go ahead and play the Appleton with Thick Mucus. 70 damage for each special energy card attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. They are potentially very good, but you couldn't play them in Gym Leader Challenge up to now because you didn't have an Applin to use. Well, now you do, ladies and gentlemen. And that's maybe the best thing about this. Although the attack is kind of nice, you just search your deck for a Pokemon, show it to your opponent, and add it to your hand. Obviously, it's not some kind of ridiculous game-breaking attack, let's be clear. But, you know, come on. We're doing our best here. It's an evolving basic. We're not really relying on much. If you've got a semi-useful attack, honestly, you know what? That's enough. Also, while we're sitting here talking about how great Okacheke is, remember the Applin, the evolution of this, is also done by Okacheke, which is kind of nice. That one lets you switch one of your opponent's bench when they're active and do 70 to the new active. I like that we've got 2 artwork rares we can talk about here. I like that we've got 2 Okacheke cards we can talk about. And I honestly think this Cramorant could legit be kind of nice, honestly. And actually, I'm going to jump in before I end the video here, because I was getting ready to upload this, and it turns out we've got Magcargo EX. And I don't really have time or space on my upload schedule to do a video on that, so let's chuck it in on the end here. Of course, tomorrow is Friday, and we are expecting a bunch of reveals overnight in Japan. So Magcargo EX, it is a Terra EX, so it is fire type. So you do get the bench protection, yay, etc., but you don't actually get the new Terra type. And what we've got here is 2 energy, 70 damage, plus burn. It's alright. I mean, remember I say new burn rules, they've been here for ages at this point, but the newest burn rules say that you take the 20 and then flip, so to see if you're not burned anymore. So you're realistically talking like 90 damage here most of the time, which is alright. But the second attack is the one we're really looking for. Free energy, and what you do is you discard the top card of yours and your opponent's deck, and deal 140 damage for each one discarded in this way, plus 140 base. So look, this one is nice and simple. You can do gigantic damage, but it's really awkward. If you've got an energy on top of your deck, and your opponent's got an energy on top of their deck, 420 damage KOs anything with at least 80 damage to spare. That is absurd. If you've got an energy on top of your deck, you hit 280, and 280 is frankly okay. It's alright. You'll get stage 1 EXs mostly. Like this is a stage 1 with 270. But you won't get stage 2s. And then if neither player's got energy on top of their deck, you hit 140, which is fine for single prizes, but not much more than that. So we have to ask the question of how do we get the energy on top of the deck? And this is where I bring you some, frankly, suboptimal ideas. But one of my favourites here is the Malamar from Obsidian Flames. I'm sure it's been a very long time since any of you thought about the Malamar from Obsidian Flames. I'm sure there's a bunch of you watching for whom this is the first time you've ever seen the card. But it's got an ability that basically once during your turn lets you look at the top card of yours and your opponent's deck. So you will know going in how much damage you're doing. That's kind of big. Don't forget that we've still got Team Star Grunt, which came around in Obsidian Flames, that lets you put an energy from your opponent's active on top of their deck, which will then guarantee they have an energy on top of their deck, so that you can then do the extra damage. It's alright. And obviously you can stack your deck with energy, that's easy, but it's going to be a little bit awkward. I honestly think this probably needs to be played with Malamar, because it's too awkward otherwise. And to be honest with you, the energy's kind of annoying, because I can use Magma Basin and attach from hand for the turn, but I need free energy on here, not 2, so where's that third energy coming from? And I really like this card, and the idea of doing 420 damage is amazing to me, but it seems super unreliable and awkward. But then again, I don't think we've got a perfect partner for it. If we get better cards that can stack your and opponent's deck, well, maybe, ladies and gentlemen, maybe. Let's give between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think there is some potential here. And yeah, I already did an outro and ending to the video when I recorded it properly the first time round, so let's just go to that, shall we? So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things, and get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Star of Dav, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout-outs to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.